Harold is 72 years old, a retired postal worker from Ohio. For nearly 5 years, Harold took his blood pressure medication every single morning without missing a day. He trusted Dr. William. He followed the instructions. He never questioned the prescription. And for a while, everything seemed fine. But about 8 months ago, Harold's daughter started noticing something. Her father, a man who used to walk 3 miles every morning before breakfast, was now sitting in his recliner by 10 a.m., exhausted. He stopped going to the hardware store on weekends. He told his grandchildren he was too tired to play in the yard. One Tuesday afternoon, Harold stood up from his kitchen chair and his legs buckled underneath him. He grabbed the counter just in time. His heart rate, when his daughter checked it, was 46 beats per minute. His family assumed it was just aging. Dr. William had never once mentioned that this could happen. But here is the truth that changed everything for Harold. It was not his age stealing his energy. It was his medication. Quietly, invisibly, one pill at a time, slowing his heart to a level his body could no longer safely sustain. Harold was taking one of the 2 most commonly prescribed blood pressure medications for seniors. And the question that almost nobody thinks to ask is this: between amlodipine and metoprolol, which one is actually safer for an aging body? The answer is not what most people expect, and it depends on something Dr. William has probably never taken the time to explain to you. Today, we need to have this conversation. Before I compare these 2 drugs side by side, I need you to understand something fundamental, because without this, nothing else I say today will land the way it should. The way your body handles blood pressure medication at 72 is fundamentally different from how it handled the same medication at 52. Not slightly different, profoundly different. And most doctors simply do not have the time in a 15-minute appointment to walk you through why. Here is what changes. After the age of 60, your artery walls begin to stiffen. They lose the elastic flexibility they had in your younger years. This means your systolic pressure, the top number, becomes increasingly difficult to control. It is the number most strongly linked to stroke, heart attack, and cognitive decline. And it is the number that makes choosing the right medication so critically important. But the changes go deeper than your arteries. Your liver, the organ responsible for processing and breaking down nearly every medication you take, slows down. Drugs stay in your system longer. They accumulate at higher concentrations. A dose that was perfectly safe at 55 can quietly become excessive at 73 without anyone adjusting it. Your kidneys filter more slowly. Your nervous system responds less quickly to sudden drops in blood pressure, which is why standing up too fast can send an older adult to the floor while a younger person barely notices. And your heart itself becomes more sensitive to medications that alter its rhythm or speed. This is the lens I need you to carry through everything that follows. A medication is not inherently safe or dangerous. It becomes one or the other based on the body it enters. And after 60, that body has changed in ways that demand a completely different conversation. Let us start with amlodipine, because understanding how this drug works inside your body is the only way to evaluate whether it belongs in your daily routine. Amlodipine is a calcium channel blocker. Now that term sounds complicated, but the mechanism is remarkably straightforward. Every time your heart beats, calcium flows into the muscle cells of your artery walls, causing them to contract and tighten. That tightening is what creates pressure. Amlodipine blocks a portion of that calcium from entering those cells. The result is that your artery walls relax, they widen, blood flows through with less resistance, and your blood pressure drops. For seniors specifically, this mechanism carries a particular advantage. Remember what I said about arterial stiffness after the age of 60. Your vessels are already harder and less flexible than they used to be. Amlodipine directly addresses that problem at its source. It targets the very stiffness that makes systolic pressure so stubborn and so dangerous in older adults. Clinical research has consistently shown that amlodipine is one of the most effective medications for lowering systolic pressure and reducing stroke risk in patients with coronary artery disease. Now, here is the dosing detail that matters enormously. In younger adults, doctors often begin at 5 milligrams once daily. But for seniors, the recommended starting dose is lower, just 2.5 milligrams. This is not being overly cautious. This is respecting the fact that your liver processes this drug more slowly, and your blood vessels are more responsive to sudden pressure changes. The dose can be increased gradually, typically every 1 to 2 weeks, up to a maximum of 10 milligrams, but only if your body tolerates each step comfortably. If you are finding this helpful so far, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and type the word SAFER in the comments. It helps me know you are here and following along. Now, let us turn to the other side of this comparison, metoprolol. Because this drug works through an entirely different pathway, and understanding that difference is what separates an informed patient from one who simply swallows whatever is handed to them. Metoprolol is a beta blocker. Unlike amlodipine, which relaxes your artery walls, metoprolol goes directly to the heart itself. Your heart has receptors called beta-1 receptors that respond to adrenaline. Every time stress, exertion, or even just standing up sends adrenaline surging through your system, those receptors tell your heart to beat faster and harder. Metoprolol blocks those receptors. The heart slows down. Each beat becomes less forceful, and because the heart is pumping with less intensity, the pressure inside your blood vessels drops. For seniors who have already suffered a heart attack, who are living with heart failure, or who are managing an irregular heartbeat, this protective effect on the heart muscle can be genuinely life-saving. Metoprolol reduces the oxygen demand on a heart that is already under strain. In these specific situations, it is not just a blood pressure medication, it is cardiac armor. But the dosing for seniors requires serious caution. Doctors typically start at 25 to 50 milligrams of the succinate form, significantly lower than what a younger adult might receive. The dose is increased slowly, only as tolerated, and only with regular monitoring of heart rate. And here is the one rule that I need every single person watching this to understand. You must never stop metoprolol suddenly. Abrupt withdrawal can cause a dangerous rebound effect, a sudden surge in heart rate and blood pressure that can trigger chest pain, a cardiac event, or worse. Any change must be gradual and supervised by Dr. William. Now that you understand how each drug works, let us put them side by side because this is where the conversation gets personal. And I want to tell you about Eleanor to show you exactly why. Eleanor is 69 years old, a retired school teacher from Michigan. She had been taking metoprolol for 3 years. Over time, she developed crushing fatigue that made her feel decades older than she really was. Dr. Williams switched her to amlodipine. Within 2 weeks, the fatigue lifted. She felt like herself again. But within 6 weeks, her ankles had swollen so badly that she could not fit into any of her shoes. She told me it felt like trading one prison for another. Eleanor's story illustrates the central truth of this comparison. Neither drug is universally safer. Each one carries a distinct set of side effects that affect people differently depending on the body receiving them. Amlodipine's most common issue is peripheral edema, swelling in the ankles and feet. This happens because the drug relaxes arteries but not veins equally. Fluid pools in the lower body under the force of gravity. It is not a sign of heart failure or kidney damage, but it is uncomfortable. It affects mobility, and for seniors with balance concerns, it can become a genuine safety problem. Some patients also experience facial flushing, dizziness when standing, or mild palpitations. Metoprolol's side effect profile looks completely different. Fatigue is the most frequently reported complaint. Patients describe a heaviness, a loss of drive that seeps into every part of their day. It can also slow the heart rate below safe levels, causing lightheadedness or fainting. And in seniors with lung conditions like COPD or asthma, it may restrict breathing even at moderate doses. Now that you understand how each drug works, let us put them side by side, because this is where the conversation gets personal. And I want to tell you about Eleanor to show you exactly why. Eleanor is 69 years old, a retired school teacher from Michigan. She had been taking Metoprolol for 3 years. Over time, she developed crushing fatigue that made her feel decades older than she was. Dr. Williams switched her to Amlodipine. Within 2 weeks, the fatigue lifted. She felt like herself again. But within 6 weeks, her ankles had swollen so badly that she could not fit into any of her shoes. She told me it felt like trading one prison for another. Eleanor's story illustrates the central truth of this comparison. Neither drug is universally safer. Each one carries a distinct set of side effects that affect people differently depending on the body receiving them. Amlodipine's most common issue is peripheral edema, swelling in the ankles and feet. This happens because the drug relaxes arteries but not veins equally. Fluid pools in the lower body under the force of gravity. It is not a sign of heart failure or kidney damage, but it is uncomfortable, it affects mobility, and for seniors with balance concerns, it can become a genuine safety problem. Some patients also experience facial flushing, dizziness when standing, or mild palpitations. Metoprolol's side effect profile looks completely different. Fatigue is the most frequently reported complaint. Patients describe a heaviness, a loss of drive that seeps into every part of their day. It can also slow the heart rate below safe levels, causing lightheadedness or fainting. And in seniors with lung conditions like COPD or asthma, it may restrict breathing even at moderate doses. Now we enter territory that I genuinely believe is the most underappreciated danger in senior healthcare today. Because the risk of either medication does not exist in isolation, it exists in the context of every other pill sitting in your medicine cabinet. And for most seniors, that cabinet is not empty. The average adult over the age of 65 takes 4 or more prescription medications every day. Many take 6, 8, or even 10. Each one was prescribed individually, often by different doctors. Each one was considered safe on its own. But when these drugs share the same metabolic pathways inside your body, they begin competing with each other. And that competition can turn a safe medication into a dangerous one without anyone noticing. Amlodipine is processed in your liver by a specific enzyme called CYP3A4. This same enzyme is responsible for breaking down dozens of other commonly prescribed medications. Certain antibiotics, antifungal medications, and even grapefruit juice can interfere with this enzyme, causing amlodipine to accumulate in your bloodstream at higher levels than intended. The result is amplified side effects, more swelling, more dizziness, a greater risk of falls, all from an interaction that nobody warned you about. Metoprolol carries its own interaction risks. When combined with other heart medications such as digoxin or stacked alongside